All right, holy crap, I broke it again. We're live.
We're live.
We are alive. No, we're live on the air.
We actually have done this more than twice now. Is this the third one?
Third, fourth, I don't know. There's some unofficial ones. You know, those ones we don't talk about in public, so I have to kill you now.
We're going to have to change that soon.
Yeah, right. All right, for anybody listening, watching live, which there is currently 0 viewers, so we're cool there. Or, you know, down the road in the future sometime. I'm Modoc, or Keith, whatever you want to call me, from rollingboxcars.com. That is my blog. With me is Shane of Runkle Plays Games blog.
Yep.
And his crazy long URL is down in his name banner at the bottom of his screen when he flashes up.
Hey, it's not that much longer than yours.
Well, it's no longer on your screen either. Just
What?
saying. If you modified it, you have to turn it back on. You have to reset it. Just saying.
Lower third on.
There you go.
Save. Now people can see it.
There you go.
I'll get used to
teach
these.
an old dog new tricks.
I'll get used to the Googles eventually.
Yeah, eventually. All right, so Shane and I wanted to talk about a few things tonight. We're going to briefly just kind of talk about some of the convention stuff we got going on this weekend, because we're both going off to conventions, both larger and smaller conventions. And then and one of our friends who's a game designer, publisher, author, kind of posed a question to his Facebook page, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit tonight. It's kind of a highly debatable topic. So if you saw the original on-air hangout kind of advertisement that I made public, it's listed there as well. For anybody else listening live, the Q&A function is enabled. So while we're yammering, if you've got a question, feel free to chime in, and we'll stop what we're doing and I'll bow down to your question. So, all right. So let's see. Let's get started. Shane, what are you doing this weekend?
Long 4-hour to Mace, and I'm going to be gaming with a bunch of my friends, all 700 or 800 of them, and spending the whole weekend up there. Looking forward to it. This will be year 4 in a row, maybe year 5 now, I think. Turning into a regular thing for me lately. Enjoying it a lot.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, you should be. There's a whole lot of gaming going on there.
Let's trade conventions.
Gladly. No, wait, no, not going to happen. Nope, sorry. I had to think about it for a minute, but no.
Right.
I get the luxury that I wouldn't have to leave the house, which would save me a hotel, but then, you know, not nearly the same amount of gaming that I'm going to have going on as you.
No. I'm going to have far less gaming. Shane's going off to Mace, part of the Just Us Productions up in North Carolina. I, on the other hand, I'm going to Atomicon, a multimedia geek nerddom fandom convention. So somehow I ended up volunteering to go to this event to run a Rolling Boxcars fan table and sit on a panel about blogging, non-literary author stuff with a friend of mine.
Very close to voluntold.
Yeah, I was kind of voluntold. But where it turned in from volunteerism to voluntoldism is when I was told I was going to organize the gaming on behalf of StormCon, and I said, okay, sure. So, and that's been nothing but a fun shit show in the process. But nonetheless,
A little bit of a nightmare.
Got some games organized, got some volunteers, both board gaming 3 straight days, a small number of diverse RPGs on the schedule. So I'm looking forward to that. I get to see some of my geeky, nerdy fandom friends and game with them. So that's cool. That's always the upside of doing stuff like this. And the folks that run this convention down here in Charleston are
good people.
They're good people. So I don't mind helping them out. Don't know what I'll do next year, but we'll have to play it by ear. Maybe gaming will, you know, since it's not a gaming convention, maybe gaming this year will take off and grow for next year. So that'll be cool. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it'd be nice. Keep me busy for all 3 days and the volunteers. What else am I doing? Oh, I'm doing another convention. You didn't know this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm gonna put some signage up. Ooh, look at the signage.
PandaCon. Tell us about
PandaCon, baby. All right, so last year, an online friend of mine that I play voice over IP games with, we got done with VirtuaCon, and we were all kind of bummed out that the fun had to end. So after 3 days of like nonstop virtual RPG conventioning, we were all kind of bummed out, and she's the nice story is that she wanted to keep it going like the rest of us, and people were like, hey, I want to run this, and people were like, I want to play this, and she started connecting game masters with players to play online over Google Hangout. And so then it kind of took off as a running joke, and somehow a panda got mentioned, so we called it PandaCon, and she's the Panda Empress, and I'm the Royal Engineer of the Crazy Train, and we all have like whimsical names. And so, but the long and the short is it starts usually about the 1st of November, and it runs through the end of December, and it's just kind of a hodgepodge collection of folks over at rpggeek.com that are organizing, volunteering to run games, and then whoever wants to play can play.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's a way to keep the fun going, keep people playing new stuff, trying to run new stuff, playing old favorites, whatever. But for the record, all hail the Panda Queen and our lovely Panda Empress. And she's the best.
Now you sound like you're sucking up.
No, I'm not sucking up. It's all good. She knows I love her. So yeah, that's the other thing I'm involved in. So I'm doing those two things. I'm going to run for both Atomicon and for PandaCon. I'm going to run The Extraordinary Adventures of Baron Munchausen. That's always
very cool game.
Yes.
I've only played it once in all my years, but it was a very fun game.
Oh, it is awesome. I've already got it packed up in my Go box for this weekend, but yeah, it's fun. If you can think on your toes, it's a great game. So, you got any other conventions lined up, Shane?
No other cons lined up. Not doing any other convention thing. I'm hoping that I'm going to be really, really worn out after this convention and just exhausted and go, ride all the way through the new year without any more cons. So I have every intention of really kicking back and having a lot of fun with this one. This one will be the first one where I'll actually, the first one out of the ones we've done, because with StormCon in the past, I've had to do a lot of rubbing elbows and networking and, trying to get as many people, as much information out. So I can relax a little bit this year and I don't have to focus on that. So I'll be able to actually play a lot of games this time.
That's cool.
Yeah, looking forward.
I'm running 3 RPGs, organizing board games, running my tables, sitting on a blog panel. So I don't know that I'll actually get to play games, but hey, what the heck, you might, and I might. So
you never know.
Yeah. So see, if we were doing like a real podcasting, this is where we'd like have a transition music. So Shane, play us a little ditty. I'm just kidding.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. All right. So really what Shane and I wanted to get together online tonight and talk about is a friend of ours, Charles White from Fabled Environments, a company out of North Carolina. They published some really amazing gridded architectural maps for pretty much any genre. Shane, your mic sounds like crap.
Really? All right,
Yeah,
I'm going to have to fix that. Oh, I bet I know what this is. I had this happen the other day. The other day when I turned on this silly cam, this cam has its own built-in microphone, and it thinks it's in charge. And
yeah, you need to tell that thing to shut up.
The microphone of microphones.
Right. So anyways, all right, so while you work on that, Fabled Environments, they make some really great stuff in the way of the maps. They've been doing a lot of modules for Savage Worlds lately, 6 or 8 months, using their maps, and they've got some really good little modules. But now he's expanding out into a setting book for Savage Worlds. So that's an interesting endeavor on his part. Oh, that sounds much better.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. That happens every time I use the headset, the camera, and that's why I got to get a new camera. And I think it might be why the camera was unplugged when we went to start all this, is because I was like, not again.
Right. Cool. So Charles had posted the other day on Facebook. His question to kind of his friends on Facebook was, when you say this RPG looks good, what do you really mean? What does that mean? Do you mean the description, the artwork, or both? and Shane and I kind of went back and forth and highlighting different things about this, and that's kind of what we wanted to keep the conversation going, but like kind of face to face versus typing.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was a great just topic overall when you really think about it.
Right. I mean, it's one of those touchy subjects. Like, I mean, you know, an author or the publisher or both, you know, thinks their book is the be all end all, but then when the end users get it, they're horrified at what they see. So Charles is kind of right. You know, he's kind of out there when he says, "Hey, you know, this RPG looks good. What does that mean?" I mean, trying to find an answer to what that means. I mean, it's a good question. I mean, to me, when I read a product and I read a blog review about it, you know, and if I say, "Hey, this RPG looks good," I'm looking at it from, you know, several facets, several angles. I'm looking at layout. I'm looking at content first and foremost, the layout, the art, cover art, in some cases, expandability, playability. I mean, I look at it from a lot of angles before I make that determination. Hey, this product looks good.
And we're also, when we review books like that, we're also looking at books from a wider angle lens, so to speak. A lot of the time, we're looking at the overall product, where a player might pick up a book and look at the character creation section and go, "Yeah, I like how you know I make characters." Or a GM might open to the GM section and go, "I kind of like how this is run," but we end up having to look at the whole product and go, you know, what makes this book good? Because if the player section is fine, but the GM section is a mess, that can really detract from making it a good book. If the layout is terrible, if there's no writing or there's not an appendix, and one rule can be found, but you've got to thumb through 30 pages and it's in a different location because it was dropped in as an afternote. Dungeons and Dragons grappling rules, maybe. It gets very, very annoying, and it detracts from the game overall.
Right. You know, I know a lot of people in the gaming community will look at a product before they play it and go, "Hey, this looks great," but they're assessing it on either one of two angles: either just a quick skim of the rules, and because it's a base rule set they're familiar with, so they make a conclusion right out the gate that it's going to be a good product because the baseline rules, the core mechanics they already know, so that's not an issue for them, and they like the setting material just from a cursory skim. Others look at it and go, "Oh, this looks amazing," literally looks amazing, the art, the layout, that type of stuff.
I can give you a great example of something that came across in the early stages that it looked like it was going to be an incredible system, but then when it was all said and done, the art was terrible, the layout was not excessively wonderful, and in general, the way the rules for the game laid out looked like you were looking through a math book, like an Algebra 1 book, and that would be Fantasia. The RPG that he didn't kick it once, but then he relaunched it as an open gaming system, and the end result turned into just a layout nightmare. The chapters, he had 3 different pieces of art for each of the chapters, but the same. So you'd have every other chapter would have 1 piece of art of the 3 types, and he did use that over and over for the 15 or 16 chapters, which wasn't bad. But what he would do is he did a little Eye of Sauron thing where it just looked like the outline of an eyeball, and it focused in on a random part of the image and then whitewashed out the rest of the image for some strange reason. I have no idea why, but it made the whole image just look terrible. It looked like it bled through. It looked like the printers from the printing company ran out of ink when they were printing the chapter pages. It was so terrible, and the layout was super detracting because of things like that. And then when you would go to look at the rules, a lot of the rules were like 2 times X plus T equals D, and he used a lot of symbolism to try and make things simpler, and it just made it seem like you were looking at a math book.
Well, you know the guy's anthropology doctoral student or earned his PhD, so
He's also an RPG game designer.
Yeah, I know.
So if you're going to design an RPG game, just because it looks good and nice to you, because hey, I'm familiar with trigonometry or mathematics or algebra or whatever you're familiar with, you need to hand it to a couple people that don't like math and go, does this bother you when you look at it? Because I don't want to look at 5 pages of equation to figure out what I'm doing.
Were you implying it's like Math Finder?
Oh, you had to get that dig in.
I couldn't pass up that dig.
Resist it, could you?
I couldn't resist. But you're right. I mean, layout is layout and accessibility to the information is as important as the information itself. If you need a PhD to read the book, it's bad. If you need a magnifying glass and a bottle of Advil to get through it, that's even an equally horrible experience. Let's talk about my favorite RPG to piss on right now, Mutant Epoch.
I got that book over here.
Yeah, you owe it to me. But so the company donated a copy of the book and a supplement for me to review. I've had it for 10 months. I can't get past page 1.
Well,
the text is tiny.
Full disclose this to even enhance the point. You gave up on it and you lent it to me to do a review on.
True story.
And I kept the book for 3 months before I put it away and gave up on it.
Yeah. The text is tiny. The layout is 2-column. Everything's black and white except the color cover art, which I'm okay with. That's fine. Because I've seen some really great laid out, beautiful black and white books. But the font type that he uses, the typeset, the pitch of the font, the way it's laid out.
Who told him that printing a 200 or 300 page book out in font 6 was a good idea?
I think it's like font 9, but that's still hard to read.
It's font 9 for 3/4 of it, but when you get to the adventure, the book is triple columned, not double columned.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And the font size goes down to about font 6.
Fair enough. So my point is, I mean, if it hurts your brain and your eyes to read it, it doesn't matter how good the content is, you can't get into it. Conversely, I've got some amazing books here in my collection, both digital and physical, that are like the apex of layout and art and amazing content. For example, most of the stuff that I own by Monty Cook is top-notch in terms of layout. Art is amazing.
Well,
and the content is
amazing. Monty Cook Games is an extremely good example.
I'm not even talking Monty Cook Games. Let's go back to the Tolus, the city by
Tolus, I was going to mention Tolus. If you delve deep and look into Monty Cook Games and you look into Monty Cook's history, and there's an interview with him out there somewhere where he mentions where he came up with that to design that look that he uses for his books, that feel that really is appealing and inviting. He was in Europe and he was looking at travel guides. Right. And travel guides have the margin with the keynotes and things in the margin. And it was just, he picked up that style, and that style is just so user friendly. And the putting things in the corners and the margins really draws you straight to those things of, this is important, I need to look this up. And it really, really is an excellent use of spare space.
Oh, right on. I mean, some of the other books that I have around here, just off the top of my head, I mean, that are thematically perfect for the content. The content is amazing. Like Bully Pulpit Games, Night Witches, by Jason Morningstar. Thematically, from cover to cover, that book screams World War II. It's a Powered by the Apocalypse game. So I already knew the rules when I got it, and I backed the Kickstarter for full disclosure. But amazing layout, amazing single column, easy to read, digest-sized book, larger font. Some things were tinted or colored. Some of the words, like key terms, things like that. But everything was so thematic. It's just, I mean, it's a good example of a simple layout that works.
One of the best layouts I've ever seen Where Tolus is very, very pretty and very neat, and Monte Cook Games, for the most part, does beautiful, neat, and organized layouts. One of the best thematic layouts that I've ever seen would be the Dresden Files RPG. You flip through the Dresden Files book, and you feel like you're in Jim Butcher's world. You feel like you're in Harry Dresden's library reading his personal journal. When you flip from page to page, the images are wonderful. The images are done to look like they're snippets and photo that have been put in a scrapbook. There's notes to you as the reader here and there that are left from Harry or from other characters in the Dresden verse, and they look like they've been put on with like sticky notes, little yellow sticky notes, and it is just an exceptional book as far as layout goes.
Right. No, there's a bazillion examples of great books and a bazillion examples of horrible books. We've just touched on a very, very scant few. But, in short, for me, what do I mean when I tell him or tell anybody this is a good book? It's the subject of the book is good. It's accessible. It's readable. I'm interested in it. The art goes with it. I may not like the art. It may not be a style I personally like. It happens. I don't like everything, especially like if it's anime, manga, whatever, not my thing. But that's not to say that I dislike a book because of the art style. I'm not saying that, but as a package deal, I never say a book is, hey, this looks good, go get it, you're going to enjoy it. Unless as a package deal, I like the whole thing.
Right.
But unfortunately, there's some of the comments from other people who I don't think any of them are bloggers or in the industry at all. I might be wrong. They made kind of like offhanded comments that, I don't care if the layout's all that great as long as the content's good. Or other people kind of muse the whole idea like we've been talking about. If you can't get past the eyeball hurt, doesn't matter how good your content is.
And there again goes back to, if you're picking up a book and you're just the player, if the player section's okay, you're going to be more you're going to be more accepting and willing to say it's a good book. Where if the GM picks it up and says the GM, the GM section's extremely easy to work out, but then your players across the table look at you and go, yeah, but it takes me 2.5 hours to make a character, and I'm not exactly sure what abilities I have. When you're done, that doesn't do it. It is a total package thing. Some things can be foregone a little bit. Art is not a key, but if the art's jarring, the art can take you right out of it.
Right.
If you've got a winter apocalypse game and you have knights in plate mail on the cover art, you just kind of stare and wonder and go, oh, someone wasn't paying attention to the direction they were going with this book.
Come on, there's nothing wrong with dwarves in shorts in the middle of an apocalyptic winter with knobby knees.
But yeah, so for me, I agree. For me, it's more of it's a total package. If I had to prioritize it, setting is the key. Setting is number one. It's got to be something that I can read, that I can go, yes, I like this. I think it could run. I think I could run it, and others would be able to pick it up easily enough and run it, play it, and find enjoyment. I think secondary after setting for me is layout, because if it's a main book, if it's a core book, it's going to be something that I'm going to be referencing a lot, and if I can't reference things in it in a speedy, easy manner, it's going to drive me insane, and it's going to make me like the system a lot less. Art takes the third out if I had to put them in organize, in order.
No, that's totally fair. Much like you, I'm not so fixated on the setting unless it's a book that's setting rich. A lot of the books I read are not necessarily like the traditional fantasy or sci-fi systems anymore. They're the indie RPGs where the setting is, the rules are like 50% of the book or a third of the book. Setting is, I guess setting's the right word. The another half or third of the book, and then maybe some other secondary or tertiary type stuff. So I don't fixate on the setting, but I mean, definitely if it's for the pieces that are setting related and they're engaging and draw me in, definitely more of an appeal. Art's probably my last thing. Like you, is I would say content, usability of said content, and then art.
That's a good way to put it as well. So yeah, I realized I didn't say rules at any point. I didn't say, because to me it's the given. The rules have to be number one. But also a lot of the things that you and I review these days are already there. There's so many universal rules out there that you're getting a lot of setting books for things these days.
Setting books, modules.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of the times you're not just picking up and having to rate things by rules setting. A lot of the times you're just taking in the setting, the atmosphere of the adventure that you're being presented with, or the campaign story world that you're being presented with. So if it's not a main book and you're not looking at the rule system is always number one. But after rule system, it becomes setting and then layout.
Right. Yeah. To me, layout and art kind of all go hand in hand. But that's a personal distinction, I guess, because if it's ugly, it's ugly. I'm going to call the baby ugly.
Yeah. Well, now there is one other thing, and not to go right back and knock on a particular game, but if your book if you get all the other pieces done, and there's one other thing to look at, if your book is printed crappily, if it's printed on bad paper, if it's printed on super, super thin paper and the ink is bleeding through, or if the binding is terrible and the book falls apart in a few months, that is going to detract a whole lot in the long run with your other products as well. Some examples of a beautifully put together book, go back to Tolus. Tolus has 6 sewn bindings inside the main binder. That book is super, super well put together. The Pathfinder core book is exceptionally well put together and well bound. You may hate Pathfinder, but it's true. It is a very well bound book. Fair
and true on both points. I hate Pathfinder, and it's
5e Dungeons and Dragons. Gorgeous book, wonderful layout. I've had the book for less than a year, and I have entire chapters falling out of my book.
That's why I just have mine on the shelf to look pretty.
And I'm the DM. I barely reference my player's handbook, and I have entire chapters falling out of my player's handbook.
You're just rough on your books. That's all.
No, not at all. I'm very gentle with my books, and my player's handbook is just falling to pieces. So that makes me less likely to want to buy further down the road D&D 5e books, because they don't seem, when their books are falling apart, and they even on their webpage have a policy that says just keep your receipt and send us the book in when it falls apart and we'll send you a new one. When they know their books were put together that shoddily, that I have some concerns and issues with.
Maybe I should borrow them, because mine aren't falling apart. Of course, mine just sit on the shelf at this point. I'm not playing 5e right now. But even when I was actively playing it, when it first came out, I didn't have any issues, but I've heard of guys like you, their books falling apart.
But now that can hold true in the PDF department. I've heard several people complain about the World of Darkness reprints in PDF.
All right, so hold on. Before you continue, if you tell me a PDF book fell apart, I'm going to punch you in the mouth.
It didn't fall apart, but the World of Darkness PDF main book is printed in like a red text, and it is just impossible to read on the eyes.
That's horrible.
It is just terrible on your eyes to read, apparently.
Well, now that their intellectual property rights were sold off to another company, maybe it'll be better. Just saying, and they just sold off 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, inside of a month they sold off. Maybe they'll finish that vampire MMO that they were working on for the last 15 years.
Yeah, probably not. So the long and the short of this conversation is, I mean, the question that does this RPG look, what does he say? This RPG looks good. in quotations. I mean, the answer to that, it can be a myriad of different things to different people. I think the takeaway is if your product looks like shit, people aren't going to read it. Whether if the cover looks like crap, Charles even makes the point in a follow-on post. I just remember that you eat with your eyes, and I wasn't sure if the same could be said for RPGs. I mean, he's right. I mean, if I scan the bookshelf at the local game store that has bazillions of RPGs and the cover's atrocious,
you're gonna skip right over it almost.
I'm gonna skip right over. I'm not even gonna flip open the book.
And that holds true with the industry on a whole. When you look at the novel industry, look at the book industry. You walk through a bookstore and you see that millions of dollars are spent on cover art because cover art will grab you.
Sex sells, my friend.
Yeah.
Why do you think that it doesn't matter if it's the RPG industry or it's the book trade? Scantily clad men and scantily clad women appeal to people. Fantasy topics appeal to people. Sci-fi topics appeal to people.
Please, whatever you do, don't take your shirt off for ratings.
Really? People don't want to see. No, people don't want to see this. This is scary. But but if you're a designer or if you're God forbid you're a publisher, and you put shitty artwork on your book cover, nobody's going to look at it. If I want to see like crappy artwork on covers and just be a visual detractant from my interest level, I can just go to Drive-Thru-RPG. Because everybody under the sun, there or Lulu, everybody under the sun can self-publish these days, whether it be a physical book or a PDF.
Well, even a Drive-Thru-RPG, what's going to catch my eye when I'm flipping through the huge number of books on those sections? You got a good cover. I'm going to stop and I'm going to look.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, I'm going to look for the systems. I'm looking for my favorite systems first. Then I'm going to browse.
Right. If you're looking for, let's say, fantasy supplements, right? And you go past, you're looking for spells, right? I'm just kind of going on, something popped into my head. And you're scrolling through Drive-Thru-RPG, right? They sell some amazing products and, that people put up there for sale. And you're scrolling through and you see a PDF cover for 1,000, I don't know, I'll just make 3.5 edition D&D spells. And that's all it says. Maybe has some little like Celtic knotwork down the side as a border, kind of like parchment colored, maybe green or maroon border knotwork, and then just a title, and that's it. Then you see another one that shows like maybe two wizards dueling in high fantasy art form, and it says, 3.5 D&D compatible. Expand your spell book, or some slightly more catchy title with more appealing art.
Sorry, I got bored when you were describing the first book.
I know it was really hard for me to get through the description. I was bored with it. I'm going to look at the second book. I'm not going to look at the first book, even though the first book maybe hands down the content may be better. But if I can't get past the cover, I can't get past the cover.
You better have some 5-star reviews at the bottom of that book if it's a plain Jane.
Yeah, and plain Jane stuff just doesn't appeal to me because I want the experience from cover to cover to be good. Aesthetically pleasing, easy on the eyes, easy to read, great material to digest and add to my game, whatever it is, whether it's a new game system or a supplement to an existing system. But Charles is right. We read with our eyes. Now, we just proved it by that little discussion on that. So. Yep. If you're a publisher or a game designer or a developer and you're listening, which I doubt you are, but if you're listening, take note. If your cover looks like shit, I'm going to skip it. And if I do end up with your product because you donated a copy to me in my blog, or I decided to buy it, I'm still going to tell you the cover looks like shit. And I'm going to tell everybody the cover looks like shit. Spend a little money, hire a good artist to give you good product. And remember, don't hire your artist on spec. Pay them for what they do.
Don't do spec.
Sorry, that's a whole other topic.
Yes, agreed.
But anyways, to wrap up this topic, we've been babbling, but
we were on topic babbling.
We were. Consumers are going to eat with their eyes. They're going to look and they're going to go, hey, this looks good. Let me dig into it further. And then
you better have a good setting to follow up with that cover.
Right, but each hurdle, if you, as a publisher and designer, developer, the hurdles are the cover. You got to be aesthetically pleasing to get me to open the cover. The layout's got to be appealing so as not to turn me off and make my head hurt when I read it. And then ultimately the content, whether it's setting material, rules, both, supplemental, adventure, whatever, have to be engaging and high quality. If you can get me over those hurdles, chances are I'm going to really like your product. I'm really going to dig it and add it to my game or one of my various games. Or if it's a new system, I'm going to get it to the table and I'm going to be stoked about it. And I'm going to write a good review about it. If I get stopped, hurdled at any one of those points, that dog and pony show going to end, and it's not going to, the review's not going to be so good. Because if I can't get all the way to the end over the hurdles, it's a bad experience for me. So that's my advice to publishers for whatever it's worth. You got any parting shots? Fire away, Shane.
You covered a lot of what we were talking about. We covered a lot of it earlier. I really think that definitely your opening covers got to be better than bad, because you have to make a reason other than for someone other than a reviewer like you or I to pick up the book and open it up. And then when you open it up, you better be able to knock it out of the park with something to draw me in to make me want to start turning pages, or I'm going to stop turning pages real quick. And so goes the rest. Very similar to what you said. As a blogger, for me, it's a rare thing, and I think you'll agree. It's a rare thing when I get a book that is just pure eye candy. It's awesome when you get one. Makes the rest of the book so much easier to review. And there are a lot of people out there that need to take a hint from some games that are out there that do outstanding artwork, because outstanding artwork really, really helps sell your product. And the more we talk about it, the more we kind of set on that. You can have a great setting, but if you have no pictures for your setting, so maybe now the more that as we weigh this, maybe the art actually starts taking more precedence than we give it for. We both gave art a rating of a 3,
right?
But we both have read one or two in particular RPG settings that are setting books that we've gotten that had maybe 10 pieces of art and 300 pages. And I don't think either of us thought either of those systems were any good because they were a struggle to read.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
If you give me a setting like Bragged Empires, that damn thing was a coffee table book. That was some of the most gorgeous art I've ever had the pleasure to flip through. I wasn't 100% sold on the system, but it was a joy to read because it was just a pleasure to turn the page and find the next beautiful piece of art that completely engaged me in a setting that I wasn't 100% sold on.
Right.
But the artwork kept me in the book. So maybe artwork is actually subconsciously a lot more higher than you would think.
Well, like I said, I lump artwork in with layout. It's one is not mutually exclusive of the other, if that makes sense. I mean, if you have good layout, I agree. You're going to work in art. If you have art, which God hope you do, otherwise it's just like reading a, Charles Dickens novel. So you're going to incorporate your artwork into your total layout. So doing it tastefully, having good artwork, and then incorporating good artwork tastefully into your layout, and your layout of your font and your column sizes and all of that complements the art complements the other direction. It all works as a package deal. For me anyways. Yeah. I've had good layout books with not so great art or art styles I didn't like. Doesn't mean it's a bad product, but as that page turner mentality, it's a little harder for me to get through.
Yeah.
So, and I found good books that, not kind of my thing, but, in the end, the books were really good, or it was a good adventure. And, and I said as much, the artwork wasn't my style, but the end result was it's a good product and I recommend it. So.
Catch my eye, hook me with something that's going to make me, that's going to draw my interest in, keep me there with some art, and at least be cohesive in the way everything's laid out.
Fair enough. Totally fair enough. So, that draws that topic to a close.
Yes,
But anything else you want to cover tonight, Shane?
we went through quite a few things. I think I'm, for the most part, wrapped up. I was going to show you the my alternative answer to the Spellbook Kickstarter that came out, because I didn't want to kick $80-some to a product that, even though that I thought was nice and novelty, but I couldn't bring myself to put that much money in it. But my cam, I don't know if it will cooperate with me well enough. Let me see if I can
Probably not. If not, I mean, we can save Kickstarter for a whole nother day.
Yeah, we could do that.
Because Kickstarter is a whole crazy ass topic unto itself. Kickstarter is a great thing, but I've got my personal dislikes about how certain companies do certain things. And
see, I don't know if you can see.
No, you can't see a damn thing.
Yeah, I'll show it another time. I'm actually pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
I need to get a light right over here or something.
So we'll work on your technical stuff after the conventions this weekend. So
yes, I think we should. So I think you and I should sit down and do some more of these a little more regular, since we can't get together for coffee as much anymore, and we don't have as much need for coffee anymore. Let's start making some regular posts here and do
let's do this. Let's wrap this up, and then we can shoot the breeze. So all right, I'm Modoc, rollingboxcars.com. Go check it out. Not that anybody's ever going to watch this, but what the hell, you might. Who knows? Maybe some crazy fool will go, you guys are fucking nuts. But, and you are?
I'm Shane with R.P.G. Runkle Plays Games, and it's been fun.
Right on. We're out of here.
Bye.
Deuces.